Right then, Phil. So, first question: what is the backstory of Gumshoe? Solo project. I think most people in the area know you for being frontman of a number of bands, but yeah, tell us about Gumshoe.
Yeah, so Gumshoe kind of Gumshoe started when everyone kind of like went to uni naturally, um, and then we'd started like getting a bit of a studio together, like in my old garage, because production time was expensive, and like if we recorded stuff as the bands, then we'd record. God, we had like maybe 4 songs out max, and they were all done like in a couple of days in a studio, which would cost an absolute bomb. So when everyone went off to uni, I was stuck with all the studio gear in a good way, and just carried on writing music, and then just ended up thinking this is quite good, so I'll put it out. And I started off putting stuff out just like on SoundCloud, like just completely anonymous, like thinking, is this even any good? Like without a full band and me just like playing drums on a little drum machine. So I put it on SoundCloud, and we got some good feedback. Yeah, and so I started putting out the songs from that, and from the first song that I put up, "Time I Spent," it was when the guy like Dan Carey, he got hold of it, the producer, and he was buzzing off it. So that was all the indication I needed to say, yeah, I can put all this stuff out. So yeah, that is Gumshoe in a nutshell, how it came to be.
Very good.
It's going to come in with a question there. I think I just had like a nice mental image there of sort of Phil, being locked up with all this equipment, his friend's equipment, I might add at this stage, and he's playing away on his guitar and that, and you can just see a sympathizer just over there, and he's just like, just gonna press that and see what happens, and then he gets more bold, and then fast forward, and there we are, it's Gumshoes.
Easy as that.
Yeah, but really using all his friend's equipment surreptitiously. I think there was the sort of implication there, I think. So that's the process. There's a hidden sort of more sort of malevolent, sort of undertone to the happy story you're saying. That's basically what I'm saying. Yeah, just wanted to point that out.
So you mentioned everyone else going to university. At that time, were you thinking that it was the right decision to stay in Barrow? What was your thinking about staying in Barrow and making your own music? I guess it's led you to where you are now, so it's obviously a good thing. But it's obviously at the time how was that decision?
There wasn't like a moment where it was like I had to decide between the two. It was all just kind of unraveled the way it did. I had a job in Barrow. I had that studio gear, so why not? It just went from there. It wasn't
not by design. It just happens.
It just happened, and I'm happy the way it's turned out. Yeah, no regrets with that at all.
Yeah, no, it's brilliant.
Yeah, just to ask you, Phil, I was sort of making a joke there how you got to Gumshoe, but I know that you came and played, via Andy for Twang for us, and Andy at the time was very, very, sort of waxing lyrical about, sort of music playing the style. So I was interested to sort of listen. I remember the first time, that really, really sort of caught my ears was when you played that Caribou cover, because that was it was sensational. And I think, even when you're sort of covering things, you're very, very much putting your own slant on it. But I think the second time, so it's twice you've stopped me in your track. So that was right at the start of our working relationship. And then the last time that Footstock was actually, going with actual people in the field, can you believe it? And then you played another set that stopped me in my tracks, but I heard that on playback, and I think at that moment it just sort of was very apparent to me like how far you'd come between those 2 points, and I think this new stuff very, very much has got your sort of authenticity right throughout it. Now it feels like you're very much in the swing of what you're trying to achieve, and I just wondered like what your thoughts were in terms of your own progression and how you feel from that then when I first, like I say, heard you for the first time to now, and whether you feel the same as I sort of see it from an outsider's point of view, if you will.
Yeah. No, I'd agree. The progression I've definitely noticed myself, from going from being in a band to then not playing gigs for like years, and then coming back to playing gigs wasn't as natural as I thought it would be. And so it's definitely taken a bit of time going from the covers, as you say, from that Twang session in Ulverston, and then I could have played some of the tunes then, but it was like, oh, I don't know if these sound any good, things like that. So no, I've definitely noticed it. So as I say, advice to anyone, like I wish that I didn't have held back on those songs for as long as I did. I would have just got them out and played the live shows, and then I maybe could have even been even further on those live shows than I am now.
So you keep mentioning the point about getting things out as early as you could, and you wish you'd done it a bit earlier. Do you think that's just an element of doing things solo, and that strive for perfection within yourself? If you're in a band or with other people, there might be that push to just sort of, as a group, with one another, just like, yeah, we'll get it out, we'll do it. But when it's with you, you're just recycling that sort of thought process in your mind, thinking, oh, it could be a little bit better, could add this, and you just sort of like go on and on and on. But yeah, it's
it's definitely like it'd be like a confidence thing, I guess, if you're on your own. Whereas you with the band, if you and all your mates are like loving what you've done and everyone's like dead hyped to get it out, then there'd be nothing stopping you. But when you're doing it on your own, it's like, oh, I've got to make this fucking jump on by myself. And like you say, it's hard to like draw the line when you say, yeah, this song is finished, because doing it on your own with like the gear and all the time in the world, you can just like, I'd have songs that'd be 2 years old, so like just sat in folders on my laptop. So, and that's with the stuff that's coming out. It's like they've been like a couple of years old, so it's drawing that line as when to say, yeah, I'm finished with this. I'm just gonna put it out there.
Yeah,
that's one of the hardest things to do.
Does this mean that you've got a lot of music sort of banked up, ready to be released?
Yeah. There's an absolute shed load. These ones that are coming out were mainly all done at the same time, as I say, like a year or two ago. And I finally just said, yeah, they're ready to go. Like, no more messing with them. And then there's plenty more. The ideas just kind of like stack up on the desktop. Like, yeah, there's almost 100.
So the new band is actually just the MacBook.
Yeah,
it's a bit easier to deal with than like other people, especially
that's it.
Getting everyone organised on the night.
Yeah, I don't have to wait for people to turn up to practice or anything. It's just me and the laptop whenever I want. But then you miss the buzz of being with people in the studio as well, like all the energy. But I suppose it's pros and cons, because you can pick like this part. Yeah, I'm going to run with this section, where someone in the band might say, I hate that. Like, we're not going with it. That's the benefit of doing solo as opposed to a band.
So I just wanted to know as well, is like, sort of how do you build, your sort of influences? Where does it come from? And we've spoke to quite a few musicians, and it's always interesting to see like I think what their background is in music in terms of what they like to listen to, but also if you feel that maybe any of that's transposed through to to influence you or not. So it'd be just interesting to hear, what you do listen to, and if you feel that sort of bled through and sort of woven into the fabric of what you do with Gumshoe.
Yeah, influences have like chopped and changed over the years for me. Say, used to be very much like you'd be influenced by bands or like just a song or an album. Now I end up like deep diving like a little bit more. Like you can go on the Wikipedia deep dive as to, right, this band who did this album that I really like, who's the producer, who's the mixing engineer, who's the songwriter, and then you like get lost in the Spotify like fans also like kind of deep dive as well. So I find nowadays I'm more influenced by just the solo artists or songwriters or the producers, because then it's like, if I'm sat there working on a song on my MacBook, then I'll think like, oh, how have they done this on this song? Like, can I recreate something like that? Like, what have they done? How have they managed to do that? And then like there's all these shows like the Song Exploder shows where people like dissect a song and things like that, and you find out little weird bits like, oh, we've taken a sample from this, like, I don't know, this old song, and we've like completely recreated the sound to be something entirely different. So I'm more influenced by things like that as opposed to just going out and listening to bands all the time. So yeah.
Any standout producers or bands, artists, anybody that you sort of put the inspiration into your songs?
Yeah. So producer wise, God, let me think. Well, there's a guy I'm listening to at the minute. I've been telling kind of everyone to listen to him. He's a solo artist, songwriter, does all his own production. I think the only thing he gets done is the mastering, and that's a guy called Michael Gordon. He's on Spotify as like McGee, and I think he like does exactly what I say, where he's taking all like the samples and breaking them down into something else. Producer wise, well, obviously for these songs I worked with that Brett Shaw, and that just came about from listening to the Two Falls records, the last ones. Like what he's done with them is like ridiculous, and it's there here. So that's why I reached out to him for my songs as well.
So obvious limits on live shows at the moment, and there has been for the past 12 months. I guess that's a huge draw for you and getting your music out there. There was a gig that you did at the Odd Frog in the middle of those lifting of restrictions. Before lockdown, how were live gigs going for you, and sort of how will you try and like pick that up again when restrictions are lifted?
Live gigs had just started to pick up for me. At least I was starting to get bookings right before lockdown, which was frustrating. Like talking of like the festivals for that summer and then like the out of barrel ones. I mean, it was good to get that Odd Frog one in where we could, and then hopefully some of these festivals, the lineups have rolled over for this summer if they do go ahead. Hopefully those same like doors will still be open for other venues as well. I can just go back and say, oh, when's a slot opening? But I guess everyone will be scrambling for the headline slots and gigs now, so it might be a little bit trickier. So hopefully the album and the single can push Gumshoe to the headline slots.
I'm sure you'll be fine.
I was just going to say then, so can we, hold your feet to the fire now, like live on camera, because we've got him then, haven't we? We can get you to agree that you're going to play Footstock this year.
Oh, yeah, of course. I'm always up for that.
Right. Okay. So
Footstock
I just
2020, 2021.
Well, hopefully. I mean, hopefully it might be 2027, but at least we can get an agreement. We've got something verbally, sort of locked in here.
Always signed, sealed.
So I just wanted to, sort of explore that. I mean, you talked about, sort of being a solo artist and, being on your own, and therefore you don't have that support. So you have to have a lot of sort of self-reliance on your own. I think, your ability to make judgment calls as you come along. And, is this something that you're always going to be a solo artist, or do you think you might flourish back into that band, or is it just going to be, you and that PC that you, sort of married to, is it?
Making love to.
I didn't go that far, Phil. But yeah, I just wondered what, sort of, if you talk about, and I think it's easy to talk about COVID and, oh my God, what we're going to do when we all come out of it, have a good time, I think, is just a straight up answer to that. But, sort of long term for you in this project, is it, you alone, or do you think it might flourish back out in a band again? I just wanted to sort of ask that.
Yeah, it's not really... Again, it's not like set in stone. I'm not content on just being solo or anything like that. It's just what's happened at the minute. What's kind of especially convenient during COVID as well. So yeah, like I've had people feature on some of the songs that are not coming out yet, but will be coming out, and like obviously done a few performances with others. I'm not solid set on just keeping it solo. I'm, more the merrier really for the band. It makes it more fun, more people involved.
So I'm going to hold his feet to the fire again here, Andy, and just sort of say that if he is going to come on Twang, that we definitely want to hear some of this new material that he keeps alluding to, as a sort of special play on. Yeah, Andy's nodding there. You know how this goes. So obviously, you've been in and, had a producer of elite level standards, and, how are you feeling about that? What does it sound to you? Are you dancing a jig of joy?
Yeah. I'm over the moon with the songs. I can say now that it's the album's coming out on 15th of March. So you will have, by the time we get on Twang Radio, you definitely will have heard those ones. But yeah, when I got those songs back from Brett, and I'd had previous experiences with other producers and mixing engineers, and I'd had mixed results on them. So when he sent me the first two songs on the album, actually, one of them Sayonara, I was like, oh, it was absolutely blown away. I just sat there like, oh yeah, he's absolutely cracked it. He's absolutely nailed it. So hopefully I'll work with him again in future. Yeah.
So you alluded to the album coming out, and previously you've released sort of a handful of singles. They're all available to sort of stream and buy. Do you have any info on the new album and where people can find that?
Yeah. So the new album comes out on the 15th of March. I'll be posting it on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, whatever, all the socials. Gumshoemusic.com. There'll be loads of little videos, a little teaser coming out. Probably by the time this is out, the teaser will be out that you will have seen. Just available to stream everywhere.